For ambitious dads caught between work and home, this is where you find your footing. Here's your host, Jeff Hittner.
Welcome to the Ambitious Dads Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Hittner. After more than 200 conversations with fathers, I realized we're not talking enough. Not about our fears, our ambitions, how our kids are really doing, or how we're holding up in the middle of it all. This podcast is for the dads trying to build something meaningful and be present at home. The ones caring a lot, questioning if they're doing enough, and craving honest conversations without the filters. If that's you, you're not alone. You're in the right place. Let's figure this out together. So today we have a very special guest. His name is Dominic Rubino. Dom is a serial entrepreneur. He is the host of two of the leading podcasts in the construction industry. And he, most importantly, is a father to two children, a boy and a girl. Dom, nice to have you here.
Yeah, nice to have you. I think it might be young woman and young man now.
Yeah, I think you might be right. So
it happened so fast.
How old are they now? 20 and 18?
Yep. Yeah, 20 and 17. My daughter's 20. My son is 17. Yeah.
And you were just telling me before we hit record that your daughter just took an interesting trip in Europe. Can you tell a little bit about how that changed her? Because I think, and maybe what some of the emotions that you had, if any, about, you have this this teenage or young woman traveling and seeing the world and outside of your protected
I'm scared.
arms. Yeah,
I'm scared. Part of me is crazy. So she's in university. She's doing great. She goes to an art university, a really well-known one called Emily Carr. And she took a transfer semester to the other side of the country just for fun. And she just needed a break, just kind of in that same grind. She went to university in the same city she grew up in and just kind of felt like she was not experiencing enough. And I've always been a big fan of backpacking, traveling the world. I did it. I don't know. Did you get a chance, Jeff, to travel? Yeah. It really is life-changing. It really is, because you become yourself. When I grew up, everybody expected me to be the same guy I was in grade 6. And I knew I wasn't, So anyways, I wanted all that the same for my kids. So she was on the East Coast already. So she said, "Hey, folks, Mom, Dad, I'm only 4 hours from Europe." So she flew to Portugal. She's got 3 weeks before she comes back anyway. So this 3-week trip, she's going Portugal, Spain, France, and Italy, where we still have family. As a matter of fact, she just landed today in my dad's hometown of Bari, which is in the province of Puglia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time in Puglia, actually. I have a wonderful friend that lives a little south of there in a place called Polignano al Mare. I hope she gets to...
Oh, I know Polignano al Mare.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great place. So, but we named my daughter Valencia because my wife and I were traveling through Europe ourselves just after we got married. You guys can all do the math on why we named her Valencia. We don't have to get into it. But beautiful name, right? Valencia. And so she goes to Valencia, Spain, which freaked me out because I thought she's going to call me and say, "Daddy, I met a boy in Valencia and now I'm from Valencia." That didn't work out. But yeah, so that's where she is right now. She's actually, as we speak, she just arrived in Bari.
Can you tell me a little bit about, because so many dads I speak to, and particularly whether this is fair or not, dads of girls versus boys, have this uber sort of I must protect instinct.
Guilty.
And
all day.
And now,
Sure.
I mean, your daughter is 20, so obviously you've gone through all the stages of what those fears feel like, what letting go feels like, or you're still in the process.
Oh yeah, no,
Can you
I'm not
talk
letting
a little
go.
bit about those so we don't all feel crazy about having those feelings, but also what are some of the ways that you've found that you are able to let go a little bit?
Yeah. So first of all, I trust her. She's a great kid. We've always had an open, we talk a lot in our family. I don't know for everybody else, but during the shutdown, it was great for our family. We were together 24/7 and we loved it. We just loved being with each other. And on top of that, I've always said to my kids, I get to be your dad. It's not a chore. It's my aunt. I get to be their dad. So I'm sure we all do. We love our kids. We all say it in different ways, but it is different having a daughter than a son. And I say it all the time. Yeah, I treat my daughter different than I treat my son. My son falls down. I'm like, good, do it again. My daughter falls down. I'm like, oh my God, we got to shave down the concrete in that part of the sidewalk. I'm guilty. And everybody can say whatever they want about me. Not going to change. That's my little girl. That's my little boy.
And yeah, well, talk a little bit more about, because I'm sure she's pushed back as a result. And so
She has. Yeah.
So what's that been like? What's letting go like, or if that,
she just rolls her eyes is what she does, But I'll tell you, I put the same pressure on my son. He is 2 years younger than her. And his entire life, we've always said that that's your little sister, even though she's 2 years older. That's just how we see it. We're here to protect and take care of those that we love. And my son has always known that he's been there for his sister, and she makes it hard on him for sure. She's, if the two of them are fighting, it sounds like it's him causing the problem, but it was her. It was her. But they get along great at the same time. They love each other. They just show it in their own ways. And
what's been, as your children are growing up, what's been some of the biggest maybe fears or anxieties you've had that haven't ended up playing out to be nearly as bad as you thought they would be?
I think both my wife and I were worried they would get in with the wrong group of friends. And I'll tell you what has solved that for us, for the most part, is sports. We put both of our kids in sports. They were doing competitive swimming for a long time. My daughter stayed in competitive swimming. My son left swimming and switched over to lacrosse. He just lacrosse crazy. He's actually going to college. He just got recruited to a college in Florida called Florida Southern to play down there for university. So he's excited. It was a good switch for him. But hanging out in sports is where you meet other kids who hang out in sports, there's other parents whose kids are in sports. It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy there. Everybody's trying to get better. They understand coaching. They'll take feedback. They know what it means to lose. You got to know how to lose in this world. You got to know how to win with grace, all those things. And so the worry about their friends, it's still pending because we've seen them, have losers drop over. The first guy that came to pick up my daughter for a date showed up in my house stoned. That did not go over well for him.
How did that date? Did she go on the date?
She did, yeah. And then, she dated him for a little while, and then she's like, "Oh, Dad, you were right." And I was like, "Okay, well."
And so that's interesting. So you let her go on the date, and then she continued to date him. So you were because this sounds like an example that is still hard for me with my kids being younger at 6 and 9. Letting them make their own mistakes, right? Or hoping or expecting they will see the right.
Yeah, but how far do you push before you push her away completely?
Totally.
Right. So there's a balance. But she knew pretty clearly that I didn't like the guy. I mean, he was stoned in my kitchen waiting for my daughter. I'm like, yeah, this is not gonna.
Maybe you were quite intimidating.
Good. Good. Let's set that stage early. The one thing I'm a landlord as well, who isn't, you got a rental property. The one thing I've learned about being a landlord is, we don't swear on either of our shows. Be that guy first, be that guy fast.
I like it.
Be that guy first, be that guy fast. Then, so there you go.
Can you talk a little bit about, co-parenting with these two kids that are now older? What's been the sort of the biggest hiccups explicitly from a co-parenting perspective? Like when you guys don't see eye to eye on something, or when you have different anxieties about the kids, what have you found, kind of looking back on it, that's been the most challenging or most like, that was stupid, I really didn't need to die on that hill?
Yeah. The kids are smart. They know they can answer shop. They know who to ask for what.
Wrong.
Right. So let's start there. But my wife and I also we didn't make it a rule because we made it a rule. We didn't sit down in some master planning session, but we did say if one parent says yes, the answer is yes. And I think I actually did that out of self-preservation because my wife is all over the place all the time with the kids. Right. So, but if the kids come to me and I say yes or no, then that's the end of it. It's yes or it's no. And the same with my wife. I'm not going to argue with, she's got their best interests at heart. Sometimes she knows all of the context. She's on all the chats on the team Snap and everything. She knows who's paid who, which mom is waiting for the jersey. I'm like, all right, You got your thing, I got mine. So we just fall into those lines. But I trust my wife. Mostly she trusts me. I don't think she totally does. She doesn't see how I see the world, which is the right way. But that hasn't been an issue for us in general. Yeah.
If you were mentoring like a bunch of dads whose kids were just entering the teenage years, what would like from your experience, what would be the big kind of advice that you would give, other than it sounds like get them into some sports?
Spend lots of time with them. You mentioned earlier that I'm an entrepreneur. I've had a couple of businesses. I sold one of my companies because it was destroying my son. Let's start with that. So I had a pretty large business. I had 250 locations around the world. So it's called a global master franchisor. I had the franchise rights to a business coaching company called Focal Point Business Coaching. And my head office was in San Diego. That's where we did all the training for the incoming franchisees and the ongoing training for the existing ones. So I was going down back and forth to San Diego all the time. And so I got an offer to buy the company. I had a partner in the business. So my partner and I we're on a conference call, and some of the franchisees got together and wanted to partner in the business, which is exciting. Anybody wants to buy your company, that's usually a good sign. But it wasn't ready to be sold. So we said, no, but thank you. Nice compliment. So I go home for dinner. And as you say at dinner, hey, honey, my wife says, hey, honey, what happened at work today? I said, well, you won't believe it. Somebody offered to buy the company. And she says, sell it. Let's move on. Right. It was very stressful because I was traveling. For me, I was traveling way too much. And you can measure that. I was a regular at the TGIF in the Terminal 2 at the Phoenix Airport. And I was always getting invited to the birthday parties of the staff of the hotel I stayed at. So you're there too much when the staff is the concierge says, hey, I'm having a party this weekend. You should come by. I'm like, uh-oh. Like these are not supposed to be my friends. What the heck? So anyways, we're sitting at the dinner table. It just happens. I sit at the head of the table. My wife was on my right. My daughter's on my left. And my son sits next to my wife. So imagine that she's on my right and he's next to her. So I said, hey, somebody offered to buy the business. I said, no. We have this little chat around the table. And I just launch into the conversation. Hey, I got to go to San Diego next week, but here's what I'm going to do. I'll leave Sunday night after the kids are in bed. They won't even know I'm gone. And I'll come back Friday and they won't even know I've been gone all week. And my wife's saying, okay, that's the normal plan, right? Blah, blah, blah. And my son is sitting there and he didn't say anything, but you got to imagine a little 6-year-old kid shrinking in his skin. He just slumped. And I looked at him and I thought, Rubino, what the beep are you doing? And when you say your life flashes in front of you, I missed his first steps. I missed his first swimming lessons. I missed his swimming awards. I missed stuff that I only remember, not that he remembers. And so the next day I went into my office with my partner and said, I'm going to sell. And that was a 2-year shit show, but totally worth it. And so, I sold a pretty significant company because I could see what it was doing to my family. I know how to start businesses. I know how to run businesses. I'm not stuck to one business. I'll go start another one, but I get one family. So,
so how does that play into it? So if you sold the business to stay more engaged with your family, but then you've gone and started others, how have you kind of kept that promise to yourself?
I still work a lot, but I don't fly all over the world anymore.
So it's local.
Right?
It's local.
It's local. Well, it's local. I mean, I'm a decent public speaker as a business coach should be, and an entrepreneur should be, I think. And so now the reason I host the podcast is because I'm a public speaker 6 times a month, but I do it from my desk and I go home for dinner at 5, or I can get off early, or, it was just, I've always traveled. I remember even on my, when my wife and I were dating, it was our 1-year anniversary just of dating. We're having a nice dinner. And I said, hey, it's great. We've been dating for a year. And she's like, no, because you travel a lot. We've been maybe seeing each other 6 months. I didn't realize it, but I was a corporate guy traveling where the company sent me. And so I've just always been traveling for however that time, 25 years. So now I just organize my businesses so that I don't have to travel unless I want to travel.
And how do you think about it when you talk to other dads that are career driven and also very much want to play a more significant role as a father, and they feel torn between the two?
I don't have an answer for you, but I have a song you can go listen to. Is that a weird answer?
Not unless you don't tell me what the song is.
Yeah. So anybody who's struggling with that question, how do I be the right kind of dad? Go listen to the Cats in the Cradle. Just listen to it on your own. Walk the dog, listen to it in the garage, whatever you have to do. That song will tell you the kind of dad you want to be. I don't have to tell you. You don't have to tell. You'll know from that song what kind of dad you want to be.
I love it. And
Yeah.
you do a lot of work now with regard to taking sort of leadership and business ideas and applying them to fatherhood. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Not to fatherhood, to business.
To business.
Yeah. Well, leadership doesn't get taught in schools. I think, we probably all know, whether we know it smack in the face or we just kind of feel it, but school teaches us to follow. It doesn't teach us to lead. And so we teach ultimately business leadership to guys that have started trades businesses. Somebody starts a business, whether they're a cabinet maker or they're building fences and decks or building homes. They don't think they're running a business. They're just like, I'm good at building stuff, so I'm going to build stuff and people are going to pay me for it. And I'm going to hire a guy and then I hire another guy. And before you know it, they look around, they got 7 guys. And they go, oh, I'm running a company here, but I'm working harder than I ever have. I'm making less than I should. I made more when I was on my own. Why? And so they start to reach out or start to think about the world a little bit differently. And when people have crossed that threshold, that's when they find me or somebody like me, somebody who deals with the business of the contracting business. It's just a different way of seeing the world. But once I read this on a church sign once, right next to the Starbucks I go to, a mind once expanded will never regain its original shape.
Doesn't work for my legs as that I age, but I believe it from a mind standpoint.
Do you do road cycling? Like, are you a bike?
I do. I mean, I do a lot of leg stuff. Yeah. Cycling, walking on the beach, lots of fun stuff based on where I live.
Yeah.
So yeah, soccer when I'm not afraid
of course
something's going to disappear. If I do it, something's going to break. But does the theme of letting go come up a lot, both with the people that you work with, but specifically at home? Because a lot of the dads that I speak to struggle with this idea that part of evolving in their fatherhood is learning how to let go, particularly at certain stages of their kids' development. And I wonder, as you've applied that at work, how have you thought about that at home?
I don't know why the quote, I think it was Ronald Reagan said, "Trust but verify." when the Soviets said they were going to disarm, Gorbachev, I believe. I think I've never been asked the question that way before, but I trust my kids, but I verify. I trust people in business, but I verify. So at home with the kids, if my son says he's going out with his buddies, I believe him. And if he says he's doing this, I believe him. But we're going to check. Right now, my wife's got Find My on their phones. I don't do that. That's psycho. I don't need to track my kids. I don't even want to be tracked. I'm an adult. We're going down a different path here where I'm going to get mad at AI in a second. But I verify with my kids because we talk afterwards. Hey, where'd you go? What'd you do? What'd you get up to? Okay, good. If that's what you say you did, that's what you did. Now, if you lie to me, we're going to talk about that as well. And we're going to talk for a very long time. And you're not going to get up from the couch until I say we've done talking about it. So it's going to be a very serious conversation. But have my kids lied to me? 100%. They have. But not about anything significant, right? And so it's the same in business. If we put an expectation in place that I'm going to do something, you should have a way to measure that. That's trust but verify. If there's KPIs in business, those are key performance indicators. Like, did you show up to work on time 5 days in a row? Yes or no? That's a KPI. Did you produce X, Y, or Z? That's a KPI. So there's just ways to trust but verify. Just watching that everybody's doing what they need to do, including me. Am I doing what I need to do? Am I home on time? Am I keeping my promise? It's easy to break a promise to a kid. They're never going to tell you, but go listen to the Cats in the Cradle. It'll tell you everything you need to do as a dad. Breaking promises to kids, they remember that, and that hurts them inside. I don't want to do that.
That's a powerful thing to say too, because they never put the blame on us, because particularly if they're younger,
Yeah.
right? Because we're
I suppose.
we're the dad, so they put it on themselves. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a very powerful thought. So in terms of your two children now getting about to go to college, in college, what how are you thinking about like their future in a world that's, we don't know what jobs are going to exist for them,
Yeah.
if
I
any,
know.
couple years? How are you maintaining, I don't even know, your own sanity about their like future, but also just confidence that they're going to land on their own 2 feet when you're not really sure what those 2 feet are going to be?
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I know that we've set our kids up for success. Where we live, being a lifeguard, for a college age kid is a really good job. They're working for the city and they're making like $30 an hour, which in a lot of markets, that's really good. Yeah. But we live in a super expensive city. So that's, so putting them in swimming, I was a lifeguard. And so I knew that, what kind of money you'd make. And it's one of the funnest jobs you'll ever have. So putting them in competitive swimming was just an extension of me knowing swimming was a great way to make money in the future. And it worked. Both my kids are lifeguards. My son could take it or leave it, but he's fine. He's playing lacrosse. And we've told him from the very beginning, even if you make it to being a professional lacrosse player, you're going to have to play for 3 teams to make 30 grand. Like you don't make money playing lacrosse, but for passion, he does it. His work ethic is incredible. My daughter's work ethic is incredible. They're working, and they work and they think. My daughter goes to art school and she's in 3rd year right now. And just at the end of this last semester, she said, "You know what, Dad? With AI, I think art's in trouble." I'm like, "No." So she's already thinking about what she might do next on top of that. But okay, I'm an archaeologist. Who said I got to be a business coach and an entrepreneur one day? I don't think you have to go get a degree in something or a diploma in something and then be that thing. Go learn to learn and then find your way. My God, I'm an archaeologist. Who the heck would have guessed that I'd be doing this?
I love that. Too often, I think too many parents push their kids to study business and marketing or whatever in the business space when at the end of the day, especially since we have no idea what's to come next, if we're focused on these core skills, which it sounded like you are, if I can kind of summarize, you were talking about hard work. There were definitely values driven that you see. Are there a set of values, by the way, in your family that you explicitly talk about, or is it more implicit in the way you all sort of move?
We don't. Yeah, we don't specifically talk about our values, but our values are family and love. We're Italian, so food is love.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, you'd think that we'd have a set of family values. You're going to laugh, but I did a TED talk on family because my daughter, when she first got a cell phone, her life went into the toilet 2 days later. Girls started, texting each other and fighting, and it got really bad. One of the kids in the chat threatened suicide.
Jeez.
And so it became this, I don't know how else you call it, just like a toilet of emotions just sucking downwards. And so I did a TED talk on that, on how we dealt with it as a family. We made vision boards and brought in sushi and stuff like that. And, you can look it up on YouTube. There's 6 views. If you go watch it, there'll be 7, but that just doubling down. But I'll tell you what, we never withhold love. We probably double down at the hardest times. I'll bet you we double down on love. That might be the thing.
Was that the hardest time, or has there been another hardest time?
Yeah, I mean, that was a hard time. That guy showing up stoned for my daughter was a hard time. I don't know, man. I'm a rose-colored glass half full and overflowing guy. There hasn't been a lot of hard times with our kids, I have to say. When we have had deaths in the family, that's been hard on all of us. But maybe we're an anomaly, but we haven't dealt with things that I found hard. Maybe as a business coach, I deal with all sorts of stuff all day. So my filter might be pretty high on that. But yeah, I think we
Or maybe
stay
you
steady.
need to give yourself a little bit more credit. I think, of course, there's the stuff that we can't control, but maybe it's the way that you all run your family together that has kept it where it is. So
Make just that consistency, right? Like our house is loud. We don't whisper. We're always yelling. We're yelling when we're happy. We're yelling when we're mad, but we're always yelling, so it doesn't change. But it always ends in hugs, and we're all good. We're just loud Italians.
Can you, without preventing your seventh viewer for your TED Talk, can you talk a little bit about in a real abbreviated way what was so unique about the process you went through to manage that situation with the cell phone with your daughter?
We just sat down and talked about everything that the kids want to do. We tried to build goals. What's the bigger plan for the future? That's why we did the vision board. And, bought a bunch of magazines, and my daughter was like, "Dad, what are you trying to do here?" Because she knew something was up. And I said, "Oh, we're just doing arts and crafts." And she's an artist, right? She always wants to create. So we're just like, cut out pictures of places you want to go and things you want to do, stuff you like, nothing. And we all made vision boards. Mine is still up in my office, my home office anyways. I think we all still have them up. And you could just see how the kids think. My daughter had colors and places and, the Eiffel Tower and the stuff that, this can really be limited if you choose the wrong kind of magazines, by the way. You got to get a wide selection so the kids could choose. But my son had, pictures of boats and animals everywhere. And I remember asking him, "Well, why do you have that?" And he goes, "Well, these are all the animals I want to see, and I want to take a boat." And you're like, okay. He was little, right? But you could just see how he was thinking, very logical, and my daughter, very creative. But again, we do stuff together. Maybe that's the takeaway that I'm recognizing in this interviews. We do a lot of things together.
So you did a vision board for yourself, and your wife did one too?
Yeah, we were all sitting around the table. We ordered sushi. We just did, it was just arts and crafts at the dinner, at the living room. We tried to keep it very casual at the in front of the TV, the coffee table, whatever you call it. Yeah, it was just an arts and crafts thing, just chatting, but together. Do
you have a kind of a set ritual for that? Is it mealtime, or is there something else? Is it something on the weekend?
Yeah. What's funny for us, having dinner together is a foundation. We don't even think about it. We have dinner together. When we don't have dinner together, that's something we all talk about. And it happens with sports all the time. Somebody's going in one direction or another. As the kids are getting older, that's almost impossible. But if we're home, we're sitting down for dinner together. Yeah. And for us, that's normal. I know there's other families, they just, time-wise can't make it happen. But for us, that is sacred.
This has been great. Any last, sage words of wisdom as thinking back on 18 and 20 years or 17 and 20 years with your two kids, and the dads that are listening right now thinking about, I'm still not quite sure how I'm going to get there?
Yeah, I know. I'll just tell you, I know this is going to sound trite or like it's preconceived, but I'm not a dad podcast expert. I'll just tell you, just be an intent, like just get out there and be a dad, like be the dad. Be the dad you want to be the dad that you want, that makes you proud. And I'll tell you what, from this whole thing, just go listen to The Cats in the Cradle. And if you haven't heard that song, it's easy to find. If you can't find it, you're not trying. And, but listen to the lyrics, and then you get to choose who you want to be. And by the way, my uncle, I was working as a framer, framing homes with my uncle. And he told me that that's how he raised his family. And my uncle is a great man. He was the first person I ever knew owned this thing called a business. I was like, oh, what's a business? And I worked for him as a framer. I was just a kid with a hammer hanging off my belt. And he told me that, and it's always stuck with me. I get goosebumps talking about it right now.
It also sounds like making sure your kids, were not just learned how to work hard, but had responsibilities like jobs. You talk about your daughter with the swim, and you obviously, since you remember that so well. Did your son as well? Did he have a job, or is he in the process of working?
Yeah, I mean, he's a lifeguard as well. He's a lifeguard. He's a lacrosse referee. His coach from lacrosse sends him other younger kids who want to learn. My son's a defense, he plays deep hole. So he's got the long 6-foot pole in field lacrosse. And so it's a nice recognition that his travel team coach sends other kids who are younger to him for coaching. And it's just, I don't know, but just be be the responsible person, take personal responsibility. And, the net result of that is you've got winners, not losers.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dom. I really appreciate your insights, and hope your daughter enjoys the rest of her travels. And let's talk again soon.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me. Bye, folks.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Ambitious Dads Podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation and want more insights on balancing ambition and fatherhood, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upcoming episode. Check out the links in the description for our newsletter and more resources to help you live intentionally as a dad. See you in the next episode.